it is itself reflect quite well, these areas were not looked at properly. Therefore, having a project in Hambantota, having a project in another corner of the country, and putting them together and looking at as a cobweb, you won't see the picture. What is wrong with their perception would have been they looked at these investments in an isolation through the color of their own glasses, which is unfortunate once again.
So, you mean to say that even when you compare the capital expenditure, the cost factor of it, when you compare it with the benefit, that definitely, this
those are us long-term investments. Now, you've been to many countries, I know. You regret all those highways that you are passing through. You regret the ports and airports that you have landed. You regret the hotels that you may have occupied. You regret recreation site that you have visited. Tell me. No. Someone have to invest. Now, we talked about University of Peradeniya. It's a huge place. Do you regret investing in a university some 60 years back? In Sri Lanka, it is being a welfare state. The state has a bigger role of investing than in United States of America, maybe in Japan. If you were to introduce toll road here in Sri Lanka, do you think it is easy? Then people start criticizing, look, now you have to pay, for your traveling. We looked at, our things in somebody's point of view.
Now, Doctor, amidst all these development activities and mega development drives and all, do you think that Sri Lanka is in a position to cater all these demands when it comes to the human resources? Do you think that we have the right education system in place to cater all these, especially the intellectuals that they require in the long run?
Yeah, my answer is both yes and no. Sri Lanka is a relatively high literate country. Our literate rate is very much far with any developed country. However, what you said is quite right, that the certain skills to be developed. Now, if you look at our university system, for example, we produce graduates, but of course we don't produce graduates with the right quality, with the right soft skills. Therefore, more often you would see that there are rejections, particularly in the private sector. They are not seems fit into, not because of those the graduates or the degree courses that the university offered. There is a huge mismatch. One in perception, the other one is the curriculum. Now, you see, I being a graduate in economics, I must be able to take a challenge in any opportunity that come across, where my mindset should be ready for it. Unfortunately, over the last 60 years, all our graduates were trained and developed with the dream to be a white-collar professional. Their professionalism is always questioned by the private sector. I am quite sure you are quite aware that the private sector needs a flexible workforce, who are ready to work long hours, to take any challenge, and they need go-getters. Now, that is the correction that we have to do in our education system. The education system in Sri Lanka being raped, and it is been over and over. For some reason now we have very visionary, energetic, enthusiastic two ministers who are in charge in education. The Honorable Minister of Bandula Gunawardena, you met him quite a few times, I am quite sure, and the Honorable S.P. Disanayake as the Minister of Higher Education. They are the local graduates who produce by the local universities, who went through the ladder of free education. They have experienced enough and one, and they know very well where to address. And therefore, I am quite sure within 5 to 6 years' time, you would see that our universities write products which matches the industry demand. Our school curricula will change accordingly. As a result, you would see that the necessary human capital will be available at each and every single level with the right attitudes. I am quite positive about it.
And at the same time, Doctor, that's about the education and the human resource factor. The state sector plays a huge role in all these development drives, with the new economic policies of the government and up to some extent the world as well. The state plays a huge role. How do you see the attitudes of the state worker and especially the infrastructure that the government is providing towards the state sector? Is it sufficient enough for them to cope up with all these challenges?
Now, you see, now you have to see this in a different environment. Now, in 1977, we introduced open economic policy to promote the private sector as the leading sector. Till 1983, we have seen that we are moving relatively better than that of the 1970 to 1977. But we were under kind of a distress situation. In one hand, there was a youth uprising in the south, and there was a terrorist act in the north and east. And Sri Lanka became known as an economy where there are a lot of risk and uncertainty in investment. Therefore, no one really interested in, unless they are certain about gaining the right margin, never wanted to invest. Now, the situation is completely different. Now, Sri Lanka is one of the countries have minimum risk and uncertainty in investment. But you have to drive through till the private sector investment realize and invest here in Sri Lanka. The leadership, therefore, the state have to take. If the state do not invest, who will invest? If the state sector do not take part in this development process till the private sector are confident and invest, we may not be able to get anything done. Therefore, I am very much with the policy that the government sector have taken the initiatives, the private sector could come and invest and get the benefit out of it. Therefore, the public servants, the Sri Lanka is one of the country treating the public employees very well. Therefore, we have a role, being a public servant, to honor the facilities, the benefit that derive being a public servant.
Yeah.
Therefore, still we do not taken that very seriously.
That's what I just want to know, Doctor. Now, do you think that our public servant is in the right position to cope up with all these challenges?
Again, my answer is yes and no. Now, I being a public servant, I think I am in the right I work 18 hours a day, whether you like or not. And you go and talk to the places that I worked. I'm not a boss. I'm a team member. That kind of attitudes came because of my association and the exposure into different industries and various sectors and so on. Therefore, I say yes. I would say no. I would see that, you being a public servant, even if I work or not, end of the day, end of the month, that I will get something.
Yeah.
Right. So that has to be addressed. And that is where we need to make people aware. Sri Lanka will prosper. You have to work towards.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It was very informative, very interesting, and indeed you were watching the Crossfire and exclusive production of the Department of Government Information. Today we had with us the chairman of the Sri Lanka Foundation and the senior economic advisor and the senior lecturer at the University of Colombo in economics, Dr. Ranjith Bandara, sharing his thoughts, sharing his experience when it comes to the development of our mother nation, Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, Doctor, once again.
You're welcome.
Hope you enjoy the show. Do join us once again next time around as well for this kind of an edition, Crossfire.